Hey everyone, it's me again, John, here with another edition of Johnny Vlogs, and I just wanted to share some insight with you. I don't know, I don't think I talk about this a lot publicly, but I am a vegetarian, and I just wanted to talk a bit about what that's like, what might have inspired me to do it. There are people, typically when they find out, they have a few specific questions. One of them is, what made you go vegetarian? And is it about how you feel animals are treated, or is it something else? Through getting more active and especially doing the runs, there was this point where I started feeling bad if I wouldn't eat the right thing the night before I would go out for a big run. And in particular, if you're firing down a cheeseburger or something like that, the next day I would start to notice that I wasn't really feeling great. So if I remember correctly, it started as just trying to have a few meals that were vegetable strong. There is a documentary called Forks Over Knives that has some very good information about it. It kind of addresses a lot of the hang-ups that people have about being vegetarian. One of the other common questions is, well, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your protein? The need for protein is important, but the belief that people have in it and getting it from meat sources is very overstated. There's so many other places to get protein, it's ridiculous. And when you start eating vegetable strong or vegetable heavy diets, you generally are consuming different types of things. You're going to have more nuts and more beans and stuff like that, which are great sources for protein. So protein has never been an issue. I didn't lose any muscle or anything weird like that. I actually probably got into the best shape of my life a couple of years ago when I was running extremely consistently. I was doing several full marathons a year. I'm now doing more half marathons. I just kind of enjoy that length of race a bit more. But I'm sticking with the vegetarianism. It's got to be, it has to be 5 years, maybe 6 at this point. But one of the toughest things about it is because society doesn't really support that very well, and it really varies where you are. I mean, if you're living in metropolitan areas, you can usually find some great vegetarian and even vegan restaurants. But in most places, especially if you're in the suburbs or something like that, you're probably not going to find great options there. And one of the biggest issues is fast food. All of us like to have convenient lifestyles, and there was definitely this curve of having to get used to cooking a lot more at home. But outside of that, there's just days where you want to not have that. You want to be able to go out and pick up something and, eat something on the go. So here are a couple tips that I have for people that are vegetarian, or if you're just vegetable strong, if you're just looking to try to cut out maybe one meat meal a week or something like that. A couple of places that have worked really well for me are Taco Bell is probably the number one. And what's easy about Taco Bell is, first of all, if you get their black beans, and I believe even their refried beans, none of them are made in chicken stock. So all of that is vegetarian right off the gate. And there are products that you can order just straight up, like a bean and cheese burrito, and that's perfectly fine. Most of the other ones that do have meat, all you have to do is ask for that same item, but without the meat. Or what you can also do is substitute, like ask for black beans instead of beef or something like that. So it's really easy to customize their menu. You can usually get what you're looking for, and their crew's pretty good about getting those customizations. You'll get kind of a weird look from the person when you're ordering it. They're like, wait, you want this with no beef in it? And it's like, yeah, no beef, but add black beans instead. And once you get through that weird look, you'll usually get to a pretty good experience. But their menu is already very friendly. It's pretty easy to poke around that. I would say that you would think that that's probably true of a lot of Mexican food places, but some places use chicken stock, particularly for Spanish rice, so you have to watch out for that. And some places even use it in their refried beans, so you have to watch out for that also. Outside of that, even if it's not on the menu, it seems like Burger King has a secret vegetarian patty burger that you can ask for and order at the drive-thru. I believe it's made by a product called Morningstar Patties, and it is vegetarian. It's not vegan, which means that there may be some egg in it, so you just might want to know that, especially if you're trying to go vegan. You're probably not going to want to pick up that option. And you also have to be aware of a lot of places. This is one of those points that can almost drive you crazy. There are some people that get hung up on the grease that they use, like for frying your fries or frying stuff like that. If it's the same grease that meat products have been in, there might be some contamination that's coming across or something like that. Honestly, I try to not drive myself too crazy about that, but there are a few places that actually are smart about that. That's more in the restaurant realm, where they will usually make that determination that they only cook their fries in this specific type of fryer that hasn't had meat products in it. But Carl's Jr. actually had, and I'm not sure if they still do, my local one I used to be able to go to and order a meatless burger and get a combo, and that was literally a real option that was built into their menu. A lot of the employees didn't know about it, and you had to kind of ask them about it and ask them to look for it, and then they would eventually find it. I think it's on a secondary screen or something. But recently, my local Carl's has changed their menu system, and when I was there yesterday, they couldn't find it, so essentially I just had to roll back to doing kind of the same trick I do at Taco Bell, where you just order a regular burger, but have them make it with no meat. And typically what I'll do on something like that is ask them to double up on the lettuce and tomato, so that gives it a little more weight, makes it just a little bit bigger. But there are great options out there. You have to kind of know how to order it. You have to be a person that isn't shy about customizations, but if you're becoming a vegetarian, you're probably going to have to get used to that anyway, because anytime you go out to a restaurant, you're going to be all over that. Outside of that, in Los Angeles, we have a couple of great options. The Vegan House in Hollywood is a really good place, and they have a lot of meat substitute products. Like you can get orange chicken out there, which they kind of use like a soy protein, but it tastes just like orange chicken, I remember. They have even shrimp, like you can get Asian dishes that have shrimp in them, shrimp. And there are a bunch of great meat substitute products that you can find at places like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. There's really a lot to look at there. And that was a big part of my transition too, because you kind of feel like, well, I feel like I'm losing something. Like, there's just this experience of eating a burger that I want. I just want to be able to eat a burger. Well, obviously there are tons of different options if you go to these stores, and you can find burgers that are made out of beans or mushrooms, all kinds of different stuff that they're making them out of now. And it is a matter of taste. You'll probably try some that are better than others, but you find your favorites and you go back to those. It's actually a pretty decent time to be a vegetarian in terms of those products. There are chicken strips, there's literally anything that you can imagine. And one of my favorite things lately has been making pizzas. I just make them myself, and we do them vegetarian. My wife is also vegan, so even if you're going into being a vegan, there are great options out there, particularly for cheeses now, where they're not real cheese. They're like Daya is a product that you can find that acts like cheese, looks like cheese, and tastes pretty good and works great on a pizza. So a lot of good options out there. And I don't think I ever answered the question. It wasn't really about treatment of animals, but as you've become more aware of things and you start looking at that topic, now in my life, I'd say that's definitely a piece of it, but that's not what motivated me to get here. Literally what motivated me to become a vegetarian was how my body was feeling, and it was practically telling me, John, there's certain types of food you're eating that just isn't working for what you're trying to do physically. So that's it. If you have any tips on great restaurants or ways to order around, particularly for fast food, because that's really where it gets tough in a lot of places, please drop them in the comments below. Tell me your experiences. Have you gone vegan or vegetarian? Did it only work for a while? What were your challenges and struggles with it? Do you think I'm crazy? I can tell you, at this point, especially with all the substitutes I found, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And it does feel good that no animals are being harmed for me to enjoy my existence on this planet. So, anyway, I hope you're all having a great week. Thanks for sticking around. That's what happens when you mix thanks and stick together. Stank. Thanks for sticking around on this edition of Johnny Vlogs. I hope you're having a great week. Catch you in the middle of the week with another Geek and Dorks review. And of course, at the end of the week with another brain scratch. Take care, everybody.